Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews here with a Blu-ray DVD collection update. Not too many items on the list today. Also have a vinyl that I want to show off here. But let's start with the Blu-ray and DVDs. As always, I think I grabbed everything. But let's just get this started. First, we got the new Blu-ray release from Massacre Video of Don Dohler's Fiend. This movie is something special. If you like low-budget horror, this is like one of the best low-budget horror films probably ever made, at least as far as like low-budget kind of, I don't really know how to put it, honestly. Fiend is a very interesting movie. It's not necessarily good, but it's very interesting and entertaining, and has a really great atmosphere despite its very low budget. From cult director Don Dohler, who did The Alien Factor in the 70s, which was his first movie, which is a pretty cool kind of effects-driven alien movie. This is kind of his take on the zombie and vampire genre, with it being about this kind of energy that finds its way into a corpse, and this corpse rises from its grave and needs to suck the life force out of people, similar to a vampire, kind of, in order to keep from rotting and in order to stay alive. And this is a very nice release, and the restoration on this release is amazing, honestly. The Fiend has never looked this good, and this is a movie I really enjoyed when I first saw it years and years ago. And when I got the Blu-ray, I was like, okay, I gotta rewatch this, because this was really good when I watched it, and it's still a really good flick. This comes with all kinds of special features, including, I think, like an audio commentary from the actor and cinematographer. This comes with a new scan of the film, as well as archival interviews and outtakes. Even 8mm short films that were done by Don Dohler in like the 70s and 80s. And this also comes with another feature film on it that is hidden in the menus. And it's actually not too hard to find, but it's hidden in the menus. And it is Don Dohler's slasher film from the 90s, Blood Massacre, which I'd been meaning to see. And then I heard that, oh yeah, it's included on this release. It's not listed on the back or anything, but still, it's included in the release. And yeah, very nice release of Don Dohler's Fiend. This is like I said, probably one of the greatest, like, underseen, you know, kind of low budget 80s horror films probably ever. Probably one of the best low budget 80s horror flicks ever, I would say. It's very good. Very good movie. Up next, we got another low budget 80s horror flick. This one from infamous director Andy Milligan, which, like I said before, they're fucking Severn Films is releasing a box set of Milligan movies, and I am getting that fucking box set. This is from Garage House Pictures, which this is the first release I've ever bought from them. They're kind of an up-and-coming distribution kind of company that up until now, they've done a release of like one other movie, but before they did that, they mainly did kind of trailer compilation releases, which I can get the entertainment in watching a trailer compilation, but after I watch a trailer compilation once, I'm kind of done with it. I don't really want to watch it again because there's no real point. So, when I heard that they were releasing 2 Andy Milligan movies, let alone 2 Andy Milligan movies that have been beyond out of print, one of them being The Weirdo, and this one, which is Monstrosity. This is, I think I talked about this in my video I did on, like, bad movies that are really overlooked. This is essentially Andy Milligan's late 80s horror film, that's an attempt at doing a kind of Frankenstein movie, and this is a very interesting movie. Apparently, Frank Henenlotter, the director of Basket Case and Frankenhooker, and Brain Damage, is actually a fan of this movie, which is very interesting. I'm happy that it came with this nice red slipcover, because this artwork is very nice, but the artwork they did for the actual like for the actual cover art is really fucking bad. Like, that is, like, you can't really see it too well, but let me tell you, if this had reversible cover art with this red artwork on it, I would flip it. And I usually like to keep, especially if I have like the slipcover of a movie, I like to do the reversible cover art under the slipcover, because I already got the slipcover. But for this is fucking... This artwork is honestly bad. The artwork they did for the other Milligan film, The Weirdo, which I haven't picked up yet, but I plan on doing eventually, is a lot better looking. But this movie is bad. It's violent. It's pretty fucking crazy. It's the Blu-ray is region ABC, so this is actually region free, which is very, very nice. Comes with some writing on the reverse side that talks about Milligan and this movie. And yeah, very, very happy that this has a nice release, because I do love me some Andy Milligan. Next, I got some cheap releases. These were like $5 a piece. I got Hellboy on Blu-ray. Believe it or not, I don't own Hellboy. I love Guillermo del Toro, and I really like Hellboy. This is a really great one. Have not seen this in, like, over 10 years, probably. But it's still one I really like. So I figured for $5, for the Blu-ray is not bad at all. You can tell that this is an old fucking Blu-ray release because of how, like, the disc looks, for example. It's just kind of like got that kind of Blu-ray look to it. The reverse slip on the Blu-ray, the other side of the slip for the cover art for the Blu-ray is bad, and that back to the case, that is some early, like, 2007 Blu-ray design right there. You can tell that this is an old one. Yeah, layout and design by Sony, 2007. This is an old fucking Blu-ray. Back when Blu-rays first started to become a thing, it's fucking wild that it's been over 10 years. Next, I got The Collector. This is one that, movie isn't amazing, honestly, but it's a fun kind of slasher home invasion film. Essentially about this guy, and he's like working construction on his boss's house, and there's like a secret room or like a safe in the house or something, and he wants to steal money from it, but it turns out that this guy, the collector, he's already set up traps in the house. So once the guy gets in there, he ends up being trapped in there with this insane killer, and he has to figure out how to get out. And saw this one a few years ago. I liked it quite a bit. It's a pretty good little flick. Nothing too amazing, but very entertaining. Next, we got The Collection, which is the sequel to The Collector. This I actually saw when it came out in theaters. I didn't even know there was a previous movie to this. I just saw it because it was, like, out. This movie came out, like, in 2011, I think. Yeah. Like, 2011 or 2013, somewhere around there. This movie came out quite a while ago. But, yeah, this one's a pretty good follow-up. Saw this one before I saw The Collector. The Collector I only saw like 2 years ago. This I saw very long ago. But I don't think I've seen this one since. But I still quite like this one. It's pretty good for what it is. It's a good sequel. I saw it first without seeing the first one, and I was able to follow it pretty well, so it's one of those kinds of sequels. Got this for $5. It's As Above, So Below. This movie is honestly really fucking bad. Like, it's really, really bad. But it's kind of entertaining, and I found it to be very watchable. So I figured for $5 it was worth it. I remember when this movie came out, I was super hyped for it because even though the trailers looked like it was going to be bad, it's a horror movie set in the catacombs, and that's something that like I really I've always wanted there to be a really interesting horror film set in the French catacombs. So I was really excited when the trailers for this started coming out. Then I saw who the director was. It's the same guy who directed Devil, that fucking stupid movie with the people trapped in the elevator with Satan. And he also directed the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is fucking awful, and Wreck, not Wreck, but the American remake of Wreck, Quarantine, which is fucking horrifically awful. And, shit, what else did he do? I know he's done something else. Either way, he's done some movies that I honestly cannot fucking stand. So I didn't even want to see this. Then, about a year or two ago, he did this movie called No Escape that had Owen Wilson in it, and I kind of just randomly watched it. I didn't even really know if he directed it, and it wasn't good, but it was entertaining, and I was like, you know what? Congratulations, guy. You've actually made a movie that's watchable for once and tolerable. So, in October of last year, I decided to finally get around to watching this because it was on Netflix, and I actually found it to be pretty entertaining, and it definitely wasn't as bad as I was expecting. And last, for the Blu-rays and DVDs, we got The Violence movie. This I found for like $10, that's how much it is on, like, you know, Amazon and everywhere else, but still, I found it in a store for $10. I was like, you know, I'm not gonna say no to that. I've been wanting to check this out. It is essentially a collection of 2 short shot-on-video slasher films that are basically like parodies of Friday the 13th. And yeah, like the first one runs for 14 minutes, second one runs for about 20 minutes. These are fairly short movies, but for some reason, the company that put this out decided, let's like restore these to the best of our ability, get the guy who did the soundtrack for Friday the 13th to come in and do a new soundtrack for these movies, and let's just release them and get the 2 brothers that made them to do audio commentaries and everything. And yeah, I watched the first one. It's bad, but it's very endearing and charming. Yeah, this movie isn't for everybody. The Violence movie is not for everybody, but it's entertaining. It's also got a reverse cover with artwork that is almost as good as the artwork on the other side. Let me make sure I got it, you know. Yeah, that works. So yeah, you got reversible cover art, which is pretty nice. I like the coloring, the color like design and layout of it, but I don't know if I like the actual cover as much. But still, yeah, this is the Violence movie. Couple of short shot-on-video films that 2 brothers made in the 80s, and then for some reason some company, you know, 30 years after the fact was like, hey, let's release these. Kind of thankful they did, honestly, because it's endearing and fun and charming for what it is. Let me just put this on the old shelf here. And finally, onto the vinyl that I have here. This is a big pickup for me because this is one of my favorite albums of any genre ever, but most specifically, this is one of my favorite metal albums of all time, and this is an album from 2017. It is the most recent album from the doom metal duo Bell Witch. It is Mirror Reaper. This is a single 83-minute long track that is on 2 vinyls, and the artwork on the album is very nice. I love the cover art for this. I love the artwork on the album, honestly. But this is a very interesting kind of doom metal album and or track, because again, it's an album, but it's just one track. It's very interesting because the first half of it is like very heavy, not very very heavy, but pretty heavy, and it's like loud and just gloomy and intense. And then the second half of it is pretty much the exact opposite. It's not necessarily cheerful and happy. It's still gloomy, but it's more in a sad tone and less in like a kind of scared tone. I've never really listened to this and like read all the lyrics to it, but this is literally the lyric sheet with all the lyrics to this song on it. It's pretty long, but something I wanted to show off about this album that's pretty cool, because I know that there were certain releases of this album. I know there was like a limited edition release that had colored vinyls. This one has colored vinyls. They're not the same mix of colors, but the actual colors, which I think these might actually glow in the dark for all I know, but it's kind of a green, like I don't want to say mint green, but a very very light green color. Very very nice. And on the albums, on each side, instead of saying A, B, D, C, instead of saying A, B, C, and D for the sides of the vinyl, on the first one it says as above. It says as on one side, above on the other side, and then on the other one it says so on one side and below on the other, pertaining to the kind of belief in alchemy that there is an inverse world beneath the surface of the earth, which is also why the second half of it, second half of the album is very kind of sad and gloomy compared to the like loud and kind of scary atmospheric tone of the first half of the album. I bought this for I ended up getting this for like $10, which that's really great because this is like a $30-something album usually. I've seen copies of this album online go for a lot. Like I've seen up to 36. I've seen anywhere from like $30 to $40 for this album, and I got it for about $10 because somebody gave me a gift card to Barnes & Noble, so I decided to buy this. But still, it's a very, very nice album. Came in this plastic sleeve, which I will be keeping the album in this plastic sleeve because this is one of my new crown jewels of my vinyl collection. I mean, the absolute crown jewel of my vinyl collection is most definitely the soundtrack to Hotline Miami that I have that's limited, and it was like $70, and it's the first pressing. But that thing is in a frame, it is sealed, it's not coming back out. I listened to that thing like twice, and then I was like, yeah, I gotta put this away. This will be getting listened to at least a few times before I decide to seal it up and, never listen to it again. But very, very good stuff. Either way, that is it for this Blu-ray DVD collection update. Anyway, guys, this is Biscuit Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.